Four young hikers vanished into the misty heart of the Rockies in 1999, their laughter swallowed by the towering pines, leaving behind a family torn apart by silence and unanswered cries. 7 years later, rangers stumbled upon a chilling booby trap deep in the forest, a sinister web of sharpened stakes that hinted at a fate too dark to imagine. What happened to these vibrant souls, lost on a summer adventure, would unravel a mystery that gripped the nation and refused to let go. The jagged peaks of the Rocky Mountains stood sentinel that July day in 1999, their shadows stretching long over a trail where hope once danced. Mara Kensington, a spirited 22-year-old with a knack for sketching wildflowers, led her crew with a bright smile, her auburn hair catching the sunlight. Beside her trudged Liora Finch, 21, her dark eyes sharp with determination, always the planner with a map in hand. Then there was Selene Carver, 20, the quiet dreamer whose gentle laugh echoed through the trees, and finally Torin Hale, 23, the lone guy, his easy grin hiding a deep love for the wilderness. They were inseparable, a tight-knit quartet from a small Colorado college, embarking on a 3-day trek to celebrate their graduation. Their families waved them off with packed lunches and promises to call, but that call never came. By nightfall, the trailhead was empty, their blue tent left sagging under a drizzle untouched since morning. Panic set in as hours ticked by, 6 p.m., then 7, then 8, until Mara's mother, Elise, felt a cold dread coil in her chest. She dialed the Rocky Mountain National Park dispatch, her voice trembling as she described the group. 4 young hikers, well-equipped, last seen on the Bear Lake Trail. Ranger Gideon Holt, a grizzled veteran with 25 years of patrolling these wilds, took the call with a heavy sigh. He'd seen lost tourists and broken ankles, but a group this prepared vanishing without a trace was a different beast. The search began at dawn, helicopters slicing through the fog, ground teams fanning out with flashlights piercing the dusk. The Rockies are a labyrinth of steep drops, hidden gullies, and dense spruce, where a shout can fade before it reaches help. For 3 days, they found nothing. No footprints, no gear, no sign of the vibrant group who'd laughed their way into the woods. Elise paced the ranger station, her hands clutching a photo of Mara's smiling face, while Leora's father, a stoic mechanic, joined the volunteers, his eyes scanning every shadow. By day 4, the effort swelled with search dogs and drones, but the forest held its secrets tight. Then, on the 6th day, a ranger's boot caught on something buried in the mud, a torn scrap of orange fabric, matching Selene's jacket. Hope flared, but it was a cruel tease. It led to a dead end, the trail swallowed by a creek swollen from summer rains. The lack of evidence gnawed at Holt. 4 hikers, even with a toddler like in other tales, should leave something. Crushed leaves, a dropped water bottle. Yet, the Rockies offered only silence, and the case grew cold as autumn painted the peaks gold. Years slipped by, and the Kensingtons, Finches, Carvers, and Hales clung to fading hope, their lives shadowed by the unknown. Elise turned Mara's room into a shrine, Leora's map still pinned to the wall, marked with their intended route. Rumors swirled. Had they fallen into a hidden crevasse? Been taken by some unseen predator? The Park Service scaled back, but Holt kept the file open, a nagging itch he couldn't scratch. Then, in the summer of 2006, a routine patrol changed everything. Ranger Naomi Reed, a rookie with keen eyes, was mapping a remote sector near Flat Top Mountain when she spotted it. A crude circle of sharpened sticks jutting from the earth, their tips stained dark, hidden beneath a fallen log. Her heart raced as she radioed Holt, the air thick with the scent of pine and something older, something wrong. This wasn't nature's work. It was a trap, designed to impale. The discovery sent a jolt through the old case, reopening wounds for the families. Holt assembled a team, their boots crunching through underbrush as they circled the site. The stakes were lashed with vine, the wood weathered but deliberate, suggesting it had lain dormant for years. Could this be tied to the hikers' disappearance? The trap's location, miles off their trail, raised more questions than answers. Was it a defense against bears or something far more sinister? The team combed the area, finding a rusted carabiner tangled in the roots nearby, standard hiking gear, but no match to any record. Still, it fueled a theory. The hikers had wandered off course, stumbled into danger, and left this grim marker behind. The search intensified, helicopters buzzing overhead, volunteers returning with renewed vigor. Elise clutched the phone, praying for news, while Holt mapped the trap's position, his mind racing. 7 years of silence broken by a booby trap. What horrors had these woods witnessed? The case was alive again, and the Rockies, with their unyielding secrets, were about to tell a story no one was ready to hear. If you're hooked by this mystery, hit that like button and subscribe for more untold stories. Let's uncover the truth together. The discovery of the booby trap sent a shiver through the Ranger team, its jagged stakes a silent scream from the past, pulling Ranger Gideon Holt deeper into the enigma of the 4 lost hikers. The Rockies, with their endless folds of green and gray, seemed to mock the searchers as they pressed on, the rusted carabiner a fragile thread to follow. Holt's weathered hands traced the trap's edges, noting the careful lashings of vine and the dark stains that hinted at blood long dried. This wasn't a random act of nature. Someone, or something, had crafted it with intent. The team fanned out, their boots sinking into the damp earth, eyes scanning for more clues. The trap sat in a hollow, shielded by a thicket of spruce, its location miles from the Bear Lake Trail suggesting the hikers had veered far off course. Why? Had they been chased, lost, or drawn into this deadly snare? The questions burned as the search stretched into the second week, the summer heat pressing down, turning the forest into a humid maze. Naomi Reed, her rookie nerves steadying, led a smaller crew uphill, her sharp gaze catching a glint of metal half buried under pine needles. She knelt, brushing aside the debris to reveal a tarnished belt buckle, its leather strap frayed but bearing the faint imprint of a hiking brand. It matched the gear Mara Kensington's family had described. Hope flared, but it was tempered by the trap's ominous presence nearby. The buckle pointed north, deeper into the wilderness, and Holt ordered a new grid search, his voice tight with urgency. Helicopters buzzed overhead, their blades chopping the air, while ground teams hacked through underbrush, their brightly colored jackets vanishing into the green. Days blurred into nights, the team battling steep inclines and hidden ravines where a misstep could send a person tumbling into oblivion. On the 10th day, a volunteer's shout broke the monotony, a shallow depression in the soil marked by crushed ferns and a scattering of small bones. The sight was grim, the bones too small for deer, too human for comfort. Holt's stomach tightened as he called in a forensic team from Denver, their white suits stark against the forest's gloom. The analysis confirmed it, human remains, likely from a young adult, though identification would take weeks. Was it Mara, Liora, Selene, or Torin? The families gathered at the ranger station, Elise Kensington's hands trembling as she clutched a photo, her eyes red from sleepless nights. The trap, the buckle, the bones. It was a puzzle pieced together with pain. Holt theorized the hikers had encountered trouble, perhaps a bear or a fall, and built the trap to protect themselves. But why so far from their path? The lack of larger remains suggested scavengers had scattered the evidence, leaving only whispers of their fate. The search pivoted, focusing on the hollow as a crime scene, though no clear culprit emerged. Rumors of poachers or lost prospectors swirled, but no tracks or camps supported the tales. The case grew heavier, the Rockies' silence a weight on every shoulder. Then, in a stroke of luck, a storm rolled in, its rains washing away the topsoil near the hollow, revealing a glint of color, a faded orange fabric scrap, identical to Selene's jacket. Beneath it, a journal page, its ink blurred but legible, bore Liora's neat handwriting. Lost, trap set, help us. The words were a lifeline, a cry from 1999, and Holt felt the years collapse. The page suggested they'd survived initially, perhaps injured, and built the trap as a defense. But where were the rest? The team dug carefully, uncovering more fragments. A broken compass, a hair tie, a shard of a tent pole, all hinting at a desperate camp. The forest had reclaimed most, but the clues pointed to a larger shelter nearby. Naomi scouted the ridge above, her flashlight catching a dark opening in the rock face, half hidden by moss. She called Holt, her voice shaky with discovery. Inside, the cave was dry, its walls scratched with frantic marks and scattered with more gear, a sleeping bag, a cracked canteen, a photo of the 4 hikers grinning. The air grew thick with emotion as Holt realized they'd found the heart of the mystery. The cave held their story, but the bones outside suggested not all had made it. The forensic team worked tirelessly, piecing together the remains while Holt mapped the site, his mind racing with possibilities. Had they been attacked, or had the trap failed them? The journal page hinted at hope, but the silence that followed was deafening. The families arrived, tears mixing with rain as they stood at the cave's mouth, clinging to the photo as if it could bring their loved ones back. The case was no longer cold. It was a living wound, and the Rockies, with their booby trap and hidden cave, were about to yield more answers. If this tale grips you, smash that like button and subscribe for the next chapter. Let's dive deeper together. The cave's damp walls seemed to pulse with the echoes of the past as Ranger Gideon Holt stood inside, the faint scratch marks and scattered gear painting a haunting picture of the 4 hikers' final days. The photo of Mara, Liora, Selene, and Torin, their smiles frozen in 1999, lay crumpled near the sleeping bag, a silent witness to their struggle. The forensic team moved with quiet precision, cataloging every fragment. A cracked lens from Selene's glasses, a button from Torin's shirt, a braid of Liora's hair tangled in the fabric. Outside, the hollow's bones were bagged, their small size suggesting one of the girls, though DNA would confirm it. Holt's mind churned, the booby trap's sinister design and the journal page's plea. Lost, trap set, help us. Weaving a tale of desperation. The cave, dry and sheltered, had been their refuge, but something had gone terribly wrong. The team expanded the search, tracing the ridge for more clues, the Rockies' rugged beauty now a grim backdrop. Naomi Reed, her rookie confidence growing, spotted a faint trail of disturbed earth leading downslope, where a fallen tree revealed a stash of supplies, a rusted knife, a half-empty water pouch, and a notebook page with Mara's sketch of a mountain peak, dated July 15, 1999. The date matched their last known day, suggesting they'd survived at least that long. The sketch's peak, jagged and distinct, matched a formation near Sky Pond, miles from their intended route. Had they been disoriented, fleeing something unseen? Holt rallied the team, their boots crunching over roots as they followed the lead, the forest thickening with every step. The air grew heavy, the scent of pine mingling with decay, until a shout rang out. A second cave, smaller but deeper, its entrance choked with vines. Inside, the team found more horrors. A pile of bones, larger this time, and a blood-stained jacket fragment matching Torin's blue shirt. The scene suggested a struggle, the trap's purpose now clearer, a defense against a predator or intruder. Forensic experts swarmed, their lights casting shadows on the walls, while Holt pieced together the timeline. The first cave had been their initial shelter after a fall or attack, the trap built to protect them. But the second cave hinted at a retreat, perhaps after Torin was lost. The bones outside the first cave likely belonged to one of the girls scavenged over years, while Torin's remains pointed to a violent end. The journal pages, though few, spoke of fear. Something's out there, fueling speculation of a bear or human threat. The search pressed on, the team battling exhaustion as they mapped the area, finding a crude arrow scratched into a tree, its direction leading toward a ravine. Down in the shadowed depths, they uncovered a third site, a collapsed lean-to, its sticks weathered but arranged with purpose, and a single hiking boot, size small, likely Selene's. The ravine's steep walls suggested a fall, and the lean-to implied the survivors had tried to regroup. Holt's heart sank as he realized the group had splintered, each side a chapter of their dwindling fight. The forensic team worked late into the night, identifying Torin's remains via dental records, a blow to his family, who'd held on to hope. The girls' fates remained unclear, their bones scattered or buried, but the evidence pointed to a prolonged ordeal. Naomi found a final clue, a whistle, its lanyard snapped, lying near the ravine's edge, suggesting a desperate call for help that never came. The case shifted, the booby trap no longer a mystery, but a symbol of their last stand. Holt theorized a bear encounter had driven them off course, the trap a failed shield, and subsequent falls or starvation claimed them. Yet the human-like precision of the trap nagged at him. Could poachers or a lost soul have been involved? The families arrived again, Elise Kensington collapsing at the ravine's edge, her sobs echoing as she clutched the whistle. The Rockies had given up their dead, but the full story remained elusive. The investigation intensified, rangers and volunteers scouring the ravine for more remains, their flashlights cutting through the dusk. On the 15th day, a breakthrough. A femur bone matched to Mara via DNA, buried under a rock slide, suggesting she'd fallen trying to escape. The pieces fit. An initial attack, a retreat to caves, and a tragic end in the ravine. But two girls, Liora and Selene, were still missing, their absence a gaping wound. Holt pushed the team harder, their spirits flagging but driven by the family's pleas. The forest yielded one last gift, a tattered map, Leora's handwriting marking their desperate wanderings ending at a creek bed. Following it, they found a shallow grave, its contents a shock. Two skulls, one with a fracture, the other intact, later confirmed as Liora and Selene. The fracture suggested a blow, perhaps from the fall, while the intact skull hinted at a peaceful end, maybe starvation. The case closed with a heavy heart, the booby trap a testament to their courage, the caves and ravine their graveyard. The families mourned, but a flicker of pride emerged. Their loved ones had fought to the end. If this journey moves you, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories. Let's keep exploring together. The shallow grave by the creek bed marked the end of the search, yet the weight of the four hikers' story lingered in the air, a somber echo amid the rustling pines of the Rockies. Ranger Gideon Holt stood over the site, the two skulls, Leora's fractured, Selene's intact, staring back as if pleading for their tale to be told. The forensic team worked silently, bagging the remains, while Naomi Reed traced the creek's edge, her flashlight catching a glint of metal. A rusted clasp from a backpack, its fabric long gone but its shape familiar. It matched the gear the hikers carried, a final piece tying them to this lonely spot. The ravine, with its steep walls and collapsed lean-to, had been their last stand, the booby trap and caves a desperate attempt to survive whatever had driven them from the trail. Holt's mind raced, the human-like precision of the trap gnawing at him. Was it just the hikers' ingenuity, or had another hand shaped it? The creek's flow had shifted over 7 years, uncovering the grave, but it also hinted at a larger story buried beneath the soil. The team dug deeper, their shovels striking something solid, a wooden crate, its lid splintered, revealing a cache of old tools, a hammer, a saw, and a journal, its pages yellowed but legible. The journal belonged to a man named Calder Voss, a prospector who'd vanished in the same area in 1985, 14 years before the hikers. His entries spoke of staking a claim, building traps to ward off thieves, and a final note. "They're coming. Must protect the gold." Holt's pulse quickened. Could Voss's traps have lured the hikers off course? The crate's location, near the ravine, suggested he'd lived there, his legacy a deadly inheritance. The team scoured the area, finding more stakes and a rusted pickaxe, evidence of Voss's camp. The booby trap's design mirrored his journal sketches, a chilling link to the past. Holt theorized the hikers, lost after a bear scare or fall, had stumbled into Voss's old territory, triggering the trap and sparking their frantic retreat. The cave scratches and ravine grave painted a picture of survival turning to tragedy, with Voss's remnants sealing their fate. The families arrived, Elise Kensington kneeling by the creek, her tears mixing with the water as she held the clasp, a tangible piece of Mara. The revelation of Voss shifted the narrative, less a random wilderness loss, more a collision with history. The forensic team confirmed the bones, Mara from the rockslide, Torin from the second cave, Liora and Selene from the grave. Their deaths a mix of falls, starvation, and perhaps a blow from the trap itself. Yet, the gold Voss mentioned was absent, fueling speculation of looters or nature's theft. Holt pushed the search, the team combing the ravine's edges, their boots slipping on wet stones. On the 18th day, a landslide revealed a hollow under a boulder, its interior dry and shadowed. Inside they found a tin box, its contents a shock. Gold nuggets, a faded map to Voss's claim, and a locket with a photo of a young woman, dated 1984. The locket suggested Voss had a companion, perhaps lost too, adding another layer to the mystery. The gold, worth thousands even then, explained his traps, but its discovery raised new questions. Had the hikers found it, sparking a fatal encounter? The team mapped the claim, finding old dig sites dotting the ravine, their edges eroded by time. Naomi uncovered a final clue, a bullet casing, its caliber matching a common hunting rifle from the 80s, hinting at Voss's violent end or a confrontation. Holt pieced it together. Voss, paranoid and armed, had built the traps to guard his gold, dying or fleeing by 1985. The hikers in 1999 had triggered one, setting off a chain of falls and starvation. The bullet suggested a poacher or rival might have finished Voss, leaving his legacy to claim new victims. The case closed with a bittersweet clarity, the Rockies revealing their dead, but keeping some secrets. The families mourned, but the gold and locket offered a strange comfort. A piece of the past returned. Holt archived the findings, the booby trap now a museum piece, a warning of the wild's dual nature. Yet, a nagging doubt lingered. Were all the hikers' remains found, or did the forest still hide a final twist? The investigation wound down, but the story's echoes lingered, drawing Holt back to the ravine in quiet moments, his flashlight probing the shadows. The Rockies, with their traps and treasures, had spoken, but their voice was never fully clear. If this unraveling captivates you, hit that like button and subscribe for more adventures. Let's keep digging together. The tin box under the boulder sealed the connection between the four hikers and Calder Voss, its gold nuggets glinting under the flashlight's beam. A fortune hidden for decades in the Rockies' unforgiving embrace. Ranger Gideon Holt lifted the locket carefully, the photo inside showing a woman with kind eyes and a sad smile, her inscription on the back reading, "To Calder, forever yours, Liora." The map inside detailed Voss's claim, its lines fading but pointing to a series of dig sites along the ravine, where old shafts dotted the landscape like forgotten wounds. Holt's team expanded their grid, the air buzzing with renewed purpose as they probed the shafts, their ropes and harnesses creaking against the rock. The gold explained Voss's paranoia, the traps his desperate safeguard against claim jumpers in the 80s. But how had the hikers intersected with this ghost? The bullet casing nearby suggested foul play, perhaps Voss shot by rivals, his body lost to the wild. Naomi Reed rappelled into the first shaft, her light revealing rusted tools and a scattering of bones, not human but bare, with claw marks on the walls. The sight chilled her. Had Voss tangled with wildlife, or had the hikers? The team pressed on, the ravine's echoes amplifying their calls, until a volunteer's probe struck something metallic in a second shaft. A rifle, its barrel corroded but matching the casing's caliber. Fingerprints were long gone, but engravings read CV 1982, Voss's initials. Holt theorized Voss had died defending his claim, perhaps from poachers or a fall, leaving his traps armed for the unwary. The hikers, in 1999, must have triggered one, sparking panic in their fatal wanderings. The gold's value, estimated at $50,000 even then, raised stakes. Had the hikers found it, or had it lured them deeper? The families gathered at the site, Elise Kensington touching the map, her voice breaking as she whispered Mara's name, imagining her daughter's final days chasing shadows of treasure. The investigation deepened, Holt requesting old records from the Park Service, uncovering Voss's file. A loner from Wyoming reported missing in 1985 after a dispute with locals over land. His companion Liora had vanished too, her fate unknown. The locket suggested tragedy, perhaps a murder-suicide or accident. The team searched for Voss's remains, their metal detectors humming over the dig sites, until a signal led to a collapsed shaft. Digging revealed a skeleton, its skull fractured, a gold ring on its finger matching the locket's style. Forensics confirmed it as Voss dead from a blow, likely a fall or attack. Nearby, a second set of bones, female with a matching ring, proved to be Liora, her cause of death starvation, suggesting she'd survived Voss briefly, perhaps trapped. The parallels to the hikers were eerie. Two couples lost to the ravine, separated by years but linked by greed and wilderness. Holt's mind raced. The bullet casing now pointed to a shooter, perhaps a rival who'd claimed the gold briefly before abandoning it. The team traced old leads, interviewing aging locals who recalled Voss as a hothead, feuding with a family of trappers. One name surfaced, Harlan Reed, no relation to Naomi, a trapper who'd boasted of striking it rich in 1985 before disappearing. The puzzle grew, the Rockies yielding layers of history. Naomi found a carved message in the shaft's wall. Gold curse, E. Ilara's initial, a warning from beyond. The hiker's journal echoed it. Found old trap, curse, suggesting they'd discovered Voss's legacy mid-flight. The search culminated in a final dig, uncovering a pouch of coins near Voss's bones, stamped 1984, solidifying the timeline. Holt assembled the story. Voss and Liora, mining in secret, killed by accident or foul play, their traps left behind. The hikers off trail after a storm or bear hit a trap, injuring one, then found the shafts in desperation, succumbing one by one. The gold, untouched, mocked their end. The families found closure in the tale, though bittersweet. Mara and her friends not victims of malice but of a forgotten curse. Elise donated the gold to a museum, honoring the lost, while Holt patrolled the ravine, ensuring no more traps lurked. The Booby trap, once a mystery, now stood as a relic of intertwined fates, the Rockies' silent guardian of secrets. Yet, in quiet nights, Holt wondered if Harlan Reed's ghost lingered, the bullet's true story buried forever. The case closed, but the wild's whispers endured, a reminder of the thin line between adventure and abyss. If this epic grips your soul, smash that like button and subscribe. Let's chase more mysteries together.